Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from guitarists365.com. Got a massive hit from the Strokes today. We're going to learn how to do Reptilia. Both guitar parts, both by Albert Hammond Jr. and Nick Valensi. So I'm going to tell you who's playing which part when we get there in the song. Some challenging stuff in this one. There's a great rhythm guitar workout, really great muting workouts throughout it as well, and some intricate solo work as well too. So hopefully you guys will join me along the way. Now, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell, of course. Just engaging with the videos at all. If you know YouTube at all, you need to watch the videos of your favorite channels and, you know, maybe like the videos and comment on them. But liking them is the #1 way to really make sure that more people are going to see it. They're going to push it to more people. And if you truly want to support what I do here on YouTube, keep these song lessons coming. Best way to do it is join my Guitar Academy. You'll see a link to that in the description below. That's a YouTube only link. It's a kind of a YouTube fan link, which gives you 40% off my annual subscription price. So you're not going to see that price on my website. You're going to have to click through that link, and then you'll find it there. And you'll have that price for life. And if you've never had a membership, you get a free 7-day trial, and that gives you access to all my courses, live streams with me, personalized support from me as well. So please go check it out. All right, let's jump into the track. I'm tuned to standard tuning. And the song starts with kind of like a volume swell. There's a couple of things going on here. I think there's one guitar kind of holding a B minor chord, but there's another one there's just kind of swelling like open strings, especially like kind of the D, G, and then maybe the B string. So it's kind of like you can have two guitar players and one's kind of holding that chord. So this chord, we'll talk about the B minor chord in a second. It's part of the main riff, but you would just be holding that we're going to learn in a second and just kind of hit it and kind of volume swell up, and then the other guitarists could just hit a few open strings and let it come in. It's more like kind of like you're hearing like that, couple guitars swelling in and some feedback. So. And then we get to the main riff, which is what I played at the beginning, but there's actually 2 guitar parts there. And probably on the recording, you're actually hearing more like 3 guitar parts. I believe this main melody is kind of just to bring that top line out more, and with all the bass stuff underneath it. They're probably doubling that while they're doing it. They're probably doubling that, but live they play it like I'm going to show you here to try to put everything together in just 2 guitar parts. So anyway, let's look at the main riff. So the main riff, we have Nick playing just the really kind of the rhythm guitar parts, that B minor that I was talking to, into an E major chord, I'm sorry. So now this B minor he's doing, it's kind of a thumb chord. So that's just going to grab the thumb at the 7th fret there. The thumb's going to grab that note on the low E string. And then you're going to play on top of it, you can just bar the top 3 strings at the 7th fret. So you have this. And then you're going to add the 9th fret there on the A and 9th on the D. Now that's kind of like playing a normal bar chord just with the thumb. You can just play it as a normal bar chord as well too. That's fine. So that's just a full bar to 7 with those 2 9s there. So it's just a B minor chord. So that's what's, by the way, kind of swelling in there in the intro. So Nick is playing this. He plays this chord, and really when you hear him strumming it, you hear him more kind of just get to the B string. You don't have that high note too much. So it's just kind of a straight 8th note feel, all downstrokes. And then he takes that to an E major chord. So it's going to be the open E string, 7th fret there on the A string, and then you're going to bar the 9th fret across the D, G, and the B. Now you can just do it with the ring finger, which probably most people would opt for. You'll see me playing it. I'm usually barring with the pinky. Most people run from that, but so it just goes back and forth between those 2 chords. I'm doing this mostly just all downstrokes to kind of give that more aggressive sound. All right, so the main part, so this main riff so Nick is playing those 2 chords, and then you've got Albert playing that main thing that I was playing at the intro of the song. Now this right here is a lot trickier to play, not because it moves around a lot, but you're holding bass, you're playing a melody, but you're also keeping that driving bass line going underneath it. So now first, how you want to kind of work this out is your index finger is very important for muting this first chord. So the first thing you want to work on to get this part sounding good is 1, hold the 7th fret there on the low E string, and then hold it so all the other strings are muted. So the index finger is muting. It's just holding that, it's playing that 7th fret on the low E, but it's just kind of laying on the rest of the strings without pushing them down. So that's why this is a really great muting workout, is because you need to be able to keep all those other strings that you don't want to be heard from ringing out, and it's the index finger's job to do that. So a great exercise is to be able to do that driving rhythm, almost hitting, just think about how you're hitting all 6 strings. Now I'm hitting more than the low E string, right? That's all you can hear. Everything else is muted. And it gives it that kind of percussive sound because those muting, you're hearing those hits too. So then in front of that, what he does is he plays the melody. So since the melody is in front of the muting, so let's look at that melody. So try to keep that hand position, and you're gonna hit the 7th fret there with the middle finger there on the G string. And then hit it one more time. So it's kind of 3 times total. And then go over to 9 on the D string, and then 7 on the D. So you want that melody to sound kind of staccato, kind of separating the notes. It's not that. So get used to doing that. And then you want to try to put that together with the thing we were doing earlier, with this. So it's trying to kind of put that together. So all those are being muted, and you got that melody ringing on top. So after you're doing that a couple of times, then he goes up and does this. So that is going to be a lot easier because it's just based around the two lowest strings. So we have the opening string the whole time. So that's what's going to be going. And then the melody is all on the A string. So we have that 11, then up to 14, and then 17. So it's the same phrase. It says that 1, 2, 3 on that one. Then 1, 1. So 11, 14, 17. But you're keeping that driving rhythm going. So put it together. So they do a good job in this song. So it seems like Albert and Nick, for most sections of the song, except for the chorus, there's one part that's really easy to play. It's probably just usually that B minor, the E major chord change that repeats. And the other part's much more difficult to play. And they kind of rotate, like one guy's playing the difficult part in this one, and the next section, the other guy's playing the more difficult one. So they kind of mix it up pretty well. All right, so that's the main riff that you hear coming into the song when the full band kicks in. And then we have the verse. So the verse just has Albert playing that same melody, but he plays it in a different position on the fretboard. He plays it here. So he doesn't have to move around anymore because he's not keeping those bass notes going underneath it. It's just the melody itself, and it's played like this. So this is the first verse and being played by Albert. So he's playing that whole melody, but he's just doing it all right here because he says he doesn't have to add his bass notes. So that's the same melody, so the same kind of hits on each, 3 hits on that 12th fret there on the D. Oh, here too, you don't want to be on. Once again, he's kind of cutting each note off. Like each one kind of real snappy, kind of staccato, so kind of mute each note very quickly just by lifting off the pressure. So we have that 12th fret there on the D string 3 times. And then 14 on the A, 12 on the A. So you do that twice. And then you're going to come down here to the 11th fret. Hit that 3 times. And then 14 on the A, and then 12 on the D instead of jumping up here to the 17 like in the main riff. So this. Do that twice. So all together. So after that verse, you can hear the bass come in underneath it, but it's just the bass. And then we have the main riff comes in again for a couple times. So you hear that come in a couple times. And then we get to the chorus. Now this chorus starts off with Nick is playing these riffs that are, it's kind of challenging. There's a lot of muting they have to do here because the notes are separated by multiple strings. And he's playing these intervals called tenths. So he's playing a combination of like minor tenths and major tenths to create this melody. And then you've got Albert. After you play this riff a few times, Albert comes in and plays that little lead guitar lick, repetitive lick. So we'll go through all that. So the riff that Nick is playing first that you hear coming into the chorus is this. So he plays that a few times. He keeps going down for the whole chorus. So what that is you're gonna start with the 14th fret on the A and then play the 15th fret there on the B string. Now I suggest playing it like he does, even if you're not somebody who enjoys using their pinky too much on the guitar. It's more, I think it's easier to use your pinky to the same fingering for index and pinky for all these chord shapes in this part because they kind of expand and retract a little bit. And that's easier to do than what if you're just doing. You can experiment. He uses his index and pinky, but experiment what you like. But try to keep the fingerings the same, no matter what the chord shape is here. So this is 14 on the A, 15 on the B. Now once again, that index finger is having to mute not only the strings underneath it, but also you can use it to touch the bottom of the low E string. So I'm hitting all 6 strings here, but you're just hearing that A string at the 14th fret. And then when you put that 15th fret there in front of it on the B, all you hear are those 2 notes. So you can hear this, there's gonna usually be a muted hit between so he kind of releases all the pressure and you kind of can use this palm too. And there's like a muted hit between each movement of the chord. And you pick this again and you slide everything down the 9th fret on the A and 10th on the B. And then you hit it again and then another muted hit, so we have this. And you hit it again and slide up now. Now this is where it gets challenging because you now, instead of being 1 fret apart, when you slide up, it needs to now move into a different shape where it's 2 frets apart. So it's the 10th fret on the A, 12th on the B. And for me, that's easier to do with my pinky. It's harder for me to move that ring finger like that, but if it's different for you, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. So now when we get to this one, Now slide up to 12 on the A and 14 on the B. Back down to the previous chord. And then back up to that 12 and 14. So this so far. And then back down to that 9 on the A, 10 on the B. And then slide it all the way up to that starting chord at the 14th fret on the A string and the 15th on the B. After that last hit, there's 2 muted hits, and then he starts everything over again. So as he continues that part, we have, so after that, we have Albert coming in with this little single line melody that sounds kind of chaotic, but it's actually, it's the same thing that just repeats 4 times. So let me play through it for you, and then I'll show you how to play. So this comes in over that 10th riff that Nick's playing. It looks like this. All right, so that kind of thing repeats a few more times. So here's the melody line that he's doing. So he plays the 7th fret on the high E string, then rolls over to the 7th fret on the B string, then up to 10 on the B, and then 10 on the high E. Now you could play it, roll it or whatever, but I'm not sure exactly what he's doing, but how he plays it, if he rolls it over, but I just like to separate the notes. So after that 10th fret on the high E string, you play 9 on the high E string, and then play 7, 10 on the B, and then 7 on the high E string. So that's the first 8 notes, so we have this. So kind of try to memorize that first. All right, from there we have what I call, which is this kind of the second pattern of this section. And this second pattern repeats. So it looks like this. So that's basically just the next 8 notes. So that's going to be, so we ended the first pattern, we ended with that 7th fret on the high E string. You're going to repeat this note, so you're going to hit it a second time to start the next pattern. All right, so we had this 7 on the high E to 8 on the B, back to that 7, then up to 10 on the high E string, then 9 on the high E string, over to 10 on the B. There's a reason I'm using those fingers, because you need your pinky available for the next note. So then you're gonna jump up here, just reach up here and grab the 12th fret there on the high E string, so a bit of a stretch. And then back down to 9 on the high E string. So that's the second pattern. So the first pattern, remember, and then the second pattern. And then we repeat that second pattern the exact same way. And then we're going to finish it off with this third pattern. Which is going to be something you want to memorize by itself first, then you can put all these 3 patterns together. Remember, the second one's repeated twice. So we have this 7, 8, 7 on the B string. Then you play 9, 10 on the high E string. over to 7 on the high E string, rolled over to 7 on the B, and then play 9 on the high E string. So we have this. So all together, pattern number 1, played once, pattern number 2, played twice, and pattern number 3. So we have this. So all that together is 1 time through, and then you do that 4 times total. So it's repeat. So I think you guys get the idea there. All right, so that's what's going on during the chorus. It's a pretty intricate little chorus. Both guitarists are doing some stuff that's a little bit hairy. All right, so coming out of that, we have Nick's guitar solo. So underneath Nick's guitar solo, we have Albert now playing those same B minor to E. So they kind of flip roles there. So now let's take a look at Nick's guitar solo. Some quick little licks in this one as well. So here we go. So we're going to start here with this, it's kind of a 3-note descending sequence. So let's look at the notes real quick. It's just 9-7 on the B, and then 9-7-6 on the G string. So we're going to start there. So and the pattern that he's using is just going to start on the top note and play that note 3 notes down from that note. So down that's all the notes we're going to be using here to start at least. So we have just 3 notes down from the top note. And then we're going to go 3 notes down from the next note down. So you start here now. And then you're going to go 3 notes down from the next note down in the scale, which is that 9th fret there on the G. So we have this. Here's where he's going to mix it up a little bit. So he's kind of getting back to the top of the scale. And so after you go that 9-7-6, you're going to act like you're going to start another 3-note descending pattern, but it's just going to go 7, 6, back to 7 on the B string. And that's the 3-note pattern there. And then we go back to the top note to start that kind of descending sequence again. So it looks like this. So from there, the 3-note descending sequence again. But here they're going to continue the 3 notes descending by doing that 7, 6. Instead of going to the 7 on the B string, it goes over to the 9th fret there on the D string. You're going to want to do that with your ring finger so you could grab that top note with your pinky again, because it goes back up there again. So all together we have this. And then we're going to start back over. So right there, so it kind of started the entire thing that, just like we did the first time through, we started by going back up that note on the 7th fret there on the B string. But here, the descending sequence, the second descending sequence is just this. We're going to start here, 3 notes down from that top note, then 3 notes down from that note, and then a 4-note descending sequence all down the G string, which is going to be 9, 7 on the G, 6, 4. So the actual kind of melody that starts the solo all together. here comes the fun stuff. All right, so it's kind of a series of licks here. The first one. So that's gonna start with a bend at the 10th fret there on the B string. And then you're gonna kill that note and just play a staccato 7th fret there on the high E string. So, and then you're gonna shift up here, I'm sorry, which is a pull off from 10 to 9 on the B string. And then pull off 11 to 9 on the G string, and then pick 11 again, and then down to 7 on the G. So remember this lick, because we're going to do it again. So we have this. All right, so now for the second lick, it's going to be very similar. It's just going to go 10 to 9 on the high E string there. And then that same ending lick that we did for the first one is going to end this one as well. So that pull off from 10 to 9 on the B, and then 11, 9 on the G, and then play 11, 7. So those two phrases together. All right, now we're going to go up to the 12th fret. We're going to do a bend and release at the 12th fret on the high E string. And this pull off is going to be a little bit different. We're going to pull off 10 to 9 on the high E. And then you're going to pull off 12 to 10 on the B. And then you're going to play 12, 9. So it is. So it's. And then you're going to end this. So that's another bend at the 12th fret on the high string. Bend and release. Pull off 10 to 9 on the high E. And then just go over to the B, quick little staccato note there. And then he's gonna jump back here and do a pre-bend. So it's a half step pre-bend at the 9th fret on the B string. So all together. And then we start that melody again, that kind of 3-note descending melody, so it's a little bit shorter. So it's that same. The one, first of all, that uses that 7th fret there on the B string to get back up top. So that's the first time through. And then we have this kind of straight descending, which is a 9-7 on the B to 9 on the G. And then that 7 on the B, 9-7 on the G. So we have this. And this last note, just slide it down to the 4th fret. All right, so that's it for Nick's solo. So then we get to the bridge. This is being played by Nick as well. And it's kind of a simplified version, a little bit more subdued version of, I guess you'd call this the bridge. It looks like this. Kind of builds intensity at the end. So it's just simple power chords to start with. So it's the 7th fret there on the low E string and the 9th fret there on the A. Some muted hits and then a little accented hit. So it's and then the same thing over on an E power chord, which is the open E string, 7th fret on the A, 9th fret on the D. Then back to that B power chord there, the 7th fret on the low E and the 9th on the A. This was, they start releasing the muting there, kind of letting it build up a little bit. So it's right here. And then we are going to go over to, instead of an E power chord to end it, instead of big that E major chord that's in that D minor E riff. Kind of a full non-muted strum of that, eighth note strum of that. And then we're back to the main riff again out of the... So we're back to that, and then back to the exact same chorus with that 10th riff and that little lead guitar lick over it, but nothing's different about that, except at the end of that second chorus when we have the... He takes that last note at the very end of the song. We basically take that last note and bend it up a whole step and just kind of hold it and slowly let it go. And then while he's doing that, we have Nick coming in with this, kind of just doing another volume swell on that, while that bend's going at the very end of the song. We have just to strum that B minor and just swell the volume in, and then he just does a quick hit on it, and the song is over. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, there's got some tricky stuff in it, but it's a great muting workout, and it's got some cool lead guitar licks in it as well too. So definitely gonna need a couple guitar players to make this one sound right, but hopefully you'll have that available to you. All right, I'll see you again soon for guitarlessons365.com.